You're right. It's Hollywood Live. We're back again with another great episode. My guest today is a columnist for the L.A.Sentinal. You know, that's one of the classic Black papers still left here in America. He is also host of Black in the Green Room at KBLA, and that's on Talk Radio 1580. And he just recently did a wonderful interview with me, and we like to reciprocate. Say hello, everybody, to Mr. KeithL.Underwood. How are you, Keith?
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? What's up, Tanya?
Well, you know, honey, here we are. We said we were going to do this, and so
yes.
We're done today. First of all, I have to thank you for doing such a wonderful article on me in the Sentinel recently. We'll let everybody, we're going to post that as well on the website with this interview with you. But we had such a good time that day, and I truly appreciate it. Of course, we're talking about the fact that the Daytime Emmys are honoring me this year. Who knows if there'll ever be a ceremony, but you know.
We're hoping.
We're hoping, but you know, I've been around for a long time, so they thought, oh, let us give this woman an award for all of the hard work she put in. So I appreciate you picking up on that. So let's, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Needless to say, we want to talk a little bit about the strike too, because I hear, and I'll be honest, I did not check out what happened over the weekend. I hope you did, but I know that there has been a little bit of movement with the writers. But before we get into that, last week on the 11th of August, we celebrated 50 years of hip hop.
That's right. Hip hop hooray.
Oh. Hip hop hooray. Well, you know, it's like, I look around, I'm like, good Lord, that's more than half of all of our lives.
Right.
And it just went by so fast. And I don't even know if we saw it coming like that, you know?
Yeah, wow. I mean, just to think back on it, I mean, I just remember, you know, being up at my cousin's house in Menlo Park, California, and hearing Rapper's Delight, you know, come on. I was a kid, and I was just like, wow, what is this? What is this? And it's just amazing that here we are now.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Keith, because you're also a former publicist and worked with a lot of these people and a journalist. You've got to really look back and say, okay, what were the times like then, and how has that changed, or has it?
Yeah, no, I think that especially during, you know, that time period with the, you know, the rise of the crack epidemic and, you know, stop and frisk and, you know, all those types of issues, I think young Black men in particular, when hip hop started, you know, it was their way of having, you know, a voice. Almost in a non-aggressive way in the beginning, because with music, it's universal, but still having an opportunity to speak their minds and have their voices be heard. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting because if you listen to a lot of the lyrics now, and it's also changed because now it's a lot of women.
Yes,
and women's
absolutely.
Voices have different things to say.
Yes.
And, you know, that kind of started a little, well, it started actually before Queen Latifah, but she was the woman, I think, that really made it real popular for women to be, and she just owned it. So, you know, she owned it in a way that women hadn't owned it before.
Yes, she had something to say. You know, again, you know, hip hop has always been a platform for having your voice to be heard. And she wanted men to understand. She wanted people to understand, you know, I'm a woman, respect me, respect my place in this society. And we heard it loud and clear.
Yeah. We really did, and still hearing it, you know, even though it's changed. Exactly.
Yes.
I'm looking at where we are in society. You know, we've become the divided nation that some people really want to turn us into that authoritarian nation right at the moment. Yes. And I, for some reason, see hip hop again being almost the equalizer that, you know, no pun intended, but the equalizer that may possibly be able to keep us all together here.
Yeah, hip hop has always been, you know, universal. I think that the mainstream community, white folks, have always adopted to anything that we have done well. And hip hop has been something that we have done well. And if any community, any platform can get that message of unity out again, it's definitely through hip hop. And even with them trying to censor schools and distribute disinformation, you know, hip hop is truth. And all those young white kids, they're going to still hear that truth.
Right. See, that's what I'm talking about, because that's what it's coming down to.
Yes.
It's coming down to what is the truth,
Yes.
and where do you find the truth? And maybe you know, it's always kind of been in the music, whatever genre of music it was. There was always a lot of truth in the music. So I think what you just said is quite poignant, actually. Yes. Definitely. So, all righty. Well, let's move on. I do have to ask you though. You did tell me what is your favorite hip hop song today? Let me just ask you that, and then we can.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this. You know, I'm not a lyricist, but I love a good hook, and I like my hip hop a little naughty. So yeah, so
I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, you know, LL Cool J doing it, you know, Biggie Smalls, you know, Notorious B.I.G., Big Papa, anything like that, anything with a hard beat that I can dance to, I'm down with it. But because I grew up in an era in Los Angeles where the police were pulling over young black men every second, every minute of the day, N.W.A. also speaks volumes to me. And I won't say the title, but y'all know.
we all know what it is. We all
right.
Definitely. You know, I've got to tell you, I was a Snoop fan from day one, and I am still, you know, you got to hand it to Snoop Dogg. First of all, he survived. He was one of the survivors of that era. He now has taken over death row. He even does, you know, he does a few gospel things every now and then. He's got every major commercial on television that you can find. And he's still just so smooth. It's just Snoop.
That's right. Absolutely. And any anthem songs, you know, I love those too. Anything that's celebrating, whether it's New York or LA, the LBC, Compton, anywhere, any of those anthem songs, just being proud of where you're from. I love those too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, now we can really move on. Okay, when are we going to be done with this strike, Keith?
Ooh. Tanya, you know, I don't know. Full disclosure, you know that I also work with the Writers Guild of America. And, you know, I hope everyone can just come to the table and listen, you know, and really be empathetic, you know, to the needs of actors and writers, and just treating them fairly and giving them their fair due. You know, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the lion's share is not going to writers and actors. It's going to studios and streamers and executives. And without writers and without actors, there would be no Hollywood. There would be no film television industry. So just, you know, do right. Give them their due.
Yeah. I'm very concerned too. I don't know. And I honestly think that the studios realize that they're going to have to give up something. I'm not sure they even know how to do this. You know, we were talking, I think, about the whole Napster thing many, many years ago. It's been 25 years ago now with the music industry, what they went through. And they kind of figured it out. And I don't know if anybody's using that model. AI is different in many ways. But I'm not sure how you even get to square one on this because of the possibilities that we don't even know exist yet, you know?
Yeah. And, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tanya.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that's one of the things that we're fighting for is perpetuity. You know, it's not as far as wages, you know, with residuals that actors and writers receive via streamers. You know, they don't do any tracking or accounting, supposedly, of what the numbers are. And so I think that's one of the issues. And then with AI, it's the being able to use images or likenesses of actors in perpetuity. And so I think that those are two issues that are really strongly being fought for by both unions, because we don't know what that technology can look like in the future. You know, you
Mhm.
want to nip it at the bud. You don't want to wait until the technology is here and we have out of work actors or out of work writers, and then heaven forbid, then if their work is still being used and they're not being compensated for it.
Yeah. And, as Black folks in America, we sure know what that's like now that they're trying to rewrite history.
Right. That part. That part right there, Tanya.
Oh, they keep trying to do this one, don't
Yeah,
they? They've been doing this for centuries. It's not working, people. Um,
exactly.
anyway, that's not going to work. But all that being said, I love the fact that you do a show called Black in the Green Room.
That's right.
I love the title, and tell us about your show so we can also all tune in as well.
Yeah, from spending my many years, as a publicist, just to give you a little background, Tavis Smiley, I was interviewing him, for the Los Angeles Sentinel. It was for the first anniversary for KBLA 1580. For those of you that don't know, Tavis Smiley is the owner of KBLA 1580. And we were sitting there and we were doing the interview and talking, and he was about halfway through. He goes, "You're really good at this. You need to be working for me." And so me, always looking for an opportunity, I jumped on it and I told him, "Yeah, I'm interested. I want to produce the show." He goes, "I don't have an entertainment show and I don't want you just to produce it. I want you to host it." So then I was thinking, boy, like I wanted something that was kind of, a little bit on the, more educational, informative side. And so with inside the actor's studio, I wanted something more of that vibe. And I said, "What kind of sounds like that?" I said, "Well, a lot of real conversations happened back in the green room." And I said, "Wait a minute, Black in the green room." And I wanted the focus to be on entertainers, of course, but also creatives and showbiz professionals, to show us, our community, that there are more options in entertainment besides just being in front of the camera. And then I get to talk to lovely people like you.
Oh, aren't you sweet? Okay, so who are some of your favorite guests besides me?
Well, I've had so many, but I will tell you some of the most, probably some of the more interesting ones were definitely Michael Jai White and his wife. This past weekend, I just interviewed Rockman Dunbar and his wife. It was an exclusive, his first time since the 911 incident. And so it was just very good. And his wife is actually running for SAG president, and
She is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was a good one. And just some of the other industry professionals that work behind the scenes, some of the producers, the directors, those are always interesting because they're very informative. And because they don't get a lot of shine in front of the camera, they usually have the most personality. So that's always very interesting to me.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Yeah, for those who may not remember, Rockman was, he lost his job on 911 because he refused to get vaccinated. That's my understanding.
Correct.
And so I'm sure he had a lot to say about that. I myself have a problem with non-vaxxers, but that's me, and they're entitled to do whatever. Just don't come around me. I'll just make everybody clear about that.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons that his wife, I understand, is running for SAG president, because she felt that the union really didn't support him or them during that time. You might be able to expound a little bit more to give us a little preview of the show. I don't know what he had to say.
Actually, like I said, it ran this past weekend, and that was one of the issues. But she also talked a little bit about improprieties, in leadership, in SAG as well. And as you know, as a journalist, because we might not always agree with someone's viewpoint, everyone deserves to be heard, and that's kind of what my philosophy, was going into the interview. And they're also very good friends of mine, as well. And like I said, we don't always agree on everything, but I wanted to give them an opportunity for their voice to be heard.
Absolutely. And she's going to be running really hard for president. So I think it's something we're all going to see. My gut tells me she'll end up being a national story in just a minute here.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, Tanya. Very interesting.
It really, really will. So we will all be looking out for that. Keith, what else are you working on that we need to know about?
Oh gosh, I got like 15 jobs. So in addition to working for the Writers Guild. I also write a companion column to Black in the Green Room for the L.A.Sentinal. That keeps me very, very, very busy. I try to pop out at least 2-3 articles a week. Also do a little writing for the L.A. Times, who have the same ownership. And then I also have a comic book property called Califia and the Timeless Centuries. And it's a science fantasy adventure that's based around a little known legend about a Black, and when I say Black, I mean Nubian, Amazon queen who California is named after. So that's one of my pet projects that I really love. I have a lot of passion for. You guys can check it out at califiacomics.com, support us. And that keeps me very, very busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Looking over the years, Keith, and just, I talk about the Sentinel because our Black newspapers are so important. I mean, we're now 100 years plus into the Amsterdam News, Pittsburgh Courier, some of these classics. The Chicago Defender is still around after 100 years, and the LA Sentinel is coming up. They've been there for I don't know how many years now, but for Los Angeles, which everything's younger out here,
right,
they've been around for a long time. But it is so important for us to be able to keep this voice in our community.
Absolutely. And, I think it's important for us to encourage the people, the generations coming behind us to read the newspaper. I think that's very, very important to have something tangible that they can look at besides just social media, especially since so much disinformation can be found online and on social media. At least you can get something a little bit more concrete and just as another source, not to mention literacy time. Get the babies just to read.
I know. I don't even know what to say, and I don't know. We're not going in the right direction on that at all. And with the schools in such disarray, the big story today is there are no school buses anymore to take kids to school. So parents around the country are like, okay, how are we supposed to get kids to school? And they literally told them, get them there any way you can.
Absolutely.
We've got a lot of stuff to fix in this country. Keith, I know you've been working real hard to try to help us all do that. Where can people find all of your stuff?
All right. First off, on IG, UMA Worldwide. And then on Facebook, KeithL.Underwood. I don't use Twitter anymore. And y'all know why.
I don't either. Yeah.
So
what can we say?
It is what it is.
It really, really is. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Come back anytime. We have a lot of fun. And again, thank you so much for featuring me in your article in the LA Sentinel. And we're going to post that. Actually, there's a link so people can go right directly to it while watching this interview. And have a great week. Anything good coming up this week that we need to know about?
Just more work, and work. That's it. That's it for me. I'm just trying to keep everybody entertained. So yes.
There you go. And informed, just like you always do. Thank you so much, KeithL.Underwood, for joining me today. And everybody else out there, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, be good to yourself and somebody else.